If you need a ride or just a call, someone by your side. Now don't we all call a volunteer? There is no fee. Our valley peers are mild and free. We're not alone. We are Northampton neighbors, glowing old, sharing laughs and labors. We enjoy repairs, green support, store and share, the great outdoor, and makes it legal. New old friends are made. Life is a doozy-doo parade. We're not alone. We are Northampton neighbors, engaging at home. We're your Northampton
Welcome, everybody. I want to say it's wonderful to have you at our 6th annual meeting of Northampton Neighbors members. We are grateful for your presence and participation in Northampton Neighbors. I would like to highlight our annual year in review. In case you haven't seen it yet, it's been recently released in person and online. And it's been prepared by our wonderful communications committee, which consists of a lot of professional writers who do a bang-up job. So I'd just like you to look at it and to see the important thing to remember about this is the title. We are who you are. We are 1,600 plus members in Northampton Neighbors, and that makes us a pretty unique group. We try very hard to join, support, and volunteer. You are the ones who make us what we are. You determine our interest groups, the events we plan. You help us participate in the Doozy-Doo Parade and reach out to community partners and make an effort in your giving to Northampton Neighbors. We want to thank you and honor you. And tonight, we really want to hear from you. What are we doing right? What could we do better or differently? What do you want to do with Northampton Neighbors? After we go through the breakout rooms, we will end by rejoining everybody and spending some time summarizing the important thoughts that we got out of the breakout rooms. This is really important because we'd like to have you join us in planning an exciting future for Northampton Neighbors. Here are some of the activities that have been highlights of the fiscal year 2023. We have expanded interest groups based on your guidance. The Doozy-Doo Parade was bigger and better in its second year in spite of the rain. We sponsored an exhibition in the window of the former Faces in downtown Northampton that showcased Northampton Neighbors participants in the storytelling project we shared with UMass. We hosted a Maypole event with Grow Foods Northampton and offered a community forum on food insecurity. We expanded the number of volunteers and services we provided to Northampton Neighbors. We continue to provide volunteers for the PVMCI program we co-sponsor with Cooley Dickinson Hospital to enhance memory care for seniors. We grew our community partners as we look for new ways to connect with others in the community for the benefit of our neighbors and theirs. We began a joint initiative with Grow Food Northampton to reach out to people in subsidized housing. Social programs doubled in size to provide new ways for members to engage with each other. We have continued to find ways to enhance the functioning of our board. We developed new board committees aimed at governance. This enabled us to update our bylaws and create needed policies and procedures. Diane Porcella became a full-time salaried executive director and gained a staff of 2 part-time contractors. And we added 6 new board members this year. We expanded our budget and fundraising to reflect our increased activities. Before we move on, I'd like to introduce our current board to you. I'm Rainey Millman, and I'm now in my 2nd year as president of the board. Last April, Todd Barron was voted in as vice president. Gerard Paquin continues to work as treasurer, and Marcia Holden assumed the responsibility of clerk. Other longtime board members in order of seniority are Sarah Lennox, Mark Carpel, Kathy Service, and Janet Bennett. We are now going to hear from the 6 new members of the board so you can get to know them.
Hi, my name's David Bliss. I'm a newer member of the board. I'm retired. I worked 30 plus years in retail, most of it at CVS. Some of you might recognize me from the downtown store. Interests, reading, gardening, local history. I do volunteering also with Northampton Neighbors. And I think that's a great way to give back, but also it's a way to meet people and to learn about people, that have different experiences than I do. And selfishly, there's going to be a time when I'm probably going to need some help. So I want to provide it for as long as I can. I'm on a number of committees. I was on the Doozy Do committee, on the events committee, and also the finance committee, and a new one that we have is the inclusion committee, which we hope to increase different types of people in the organization, and also to engage and welcome people. So just hope that you find Northampton Neighbors as meaningful and as important as I do. Thank you.
I'm Jonathan Dowby. Parents and grandparents were German Jewish refugees to the UK, where I was born. First language, German. Graduated from the University of Aberdeen, Scotland. Doctorate from Harvard. Married to the same person for almost 60 years. Married 3 months after we met. I was a school superintendent for 5 years and a community college president in Massachusetts and Connecticut for over 30. Moved to Florence almost 10 years ago. 2 of our 3 children and all 3 grandchildren already lived here. Best decision we ever made. Northampton's full of well-read, curious people. Everyone has a point of view. Everything from great music to pétanque, the French version of bocce. Northampton Neighbors is free, and you can be as active or inactive as you please. Above all, we like each other and we listen to each other. Being on the board is an honor and a privilege. Who thought I'd be interviewed for something in my mid-80s? My main interests are still developing, increasing diversity, enjoying Doozy Do, participating in Dr. DeFulvio's UMass course that brings together juniors and seniors and Northampton Neighbors old folks like me. And of course, watching grandchildren becoming thoughtful adults who, alas, won't be living a mile from us forever. I no longer drive, but I'm an enthusiastic Zoomer.
Hello, Northampton Neighbors. My name is Rob Hinks. I live here in Florence. My involvement in our senior village was inspired by, well, aging myself, and a lifelong series of influences that I wanted to mention. I was part of a commune in Western Mass called Brotherhood of the Spirit, which many of you may have heard about. But that gave me a whole new sense of community and working together. We still work together, a lot of us that used to live in that hippie commune. Then more recently, I grew to admire the Athens, Ohio village, which served my mother, my partner's aging mother so well. And then as I approached retiring, after 40 years of working as a psychotherapist, the last 20 at Valley Medical Group here in town, I started doing some volunteer service for Northampton neighbors, mostly driving people to appointments and that sort of thing. I've also been participating in our support committee here for the past year or so. When I was asked to join the board of directors, I was surprised, humbled, and happy to become a part of this wonderful, really wonderful crew.
Hello, I'm Kim Pazinski. I live here in the Valley. I am a business and estate planning attorney, and I joined Northampton Neighbors Board because I heard about Northampton Neighbors and the work that it does helping elderly people at home. And I have 2 elderly parents who could really use the types of supports that Northampton Neighbors gives to people. Not only does it help create community and allow people to stay in their homes but still be connected to community, but it also gives them opportunities to do various things that they can't do alone because they get the support of Northampton Neighbors and all of its members and volunteers. So I'm very pleased to be part of Northampton Neighbors.
Hello, my name is Bob Reckman. I'm a native of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I moved to Massachusetts to go to college at Williams College. I moved to Northampton in 1977, so this is my adopted home. I was a building contractor and had a very successful career at doing that, but I've been retired for 15 years. And in my retirement, I realized we all need to find ways to help each other out as we age in place. So I'm pleased to be on the Northampton Neighbors Board. I hope that we will be able to find ways to improve the variety of services we can offer to our friends and neighbors so we can all live together as long as possible in the place we love.
Hi, my name is Naomi Yanis. Although I have served as one of the call managers who connect volunteers and those requesting services, and have participated in other parts of the organization, that is not what is most useful on the board. I have also been a very active member of many other boards, including serving as president of several organizations. But again, my interest in and knowledge of organizational governance is not the most important trait that I bring to this board. The most important trait I bring is my age. Most of us, as we age, assume that the changes we experience over the years are rather linear. At 86, I can tell you, and do remind the board, that this is just not so. While the specific trajectory is different for each of us, for almost all of us, the difference between 75 and 85 is not like the difference between 65 and 75. It's more like the difference between 10 and 20. Those of us who haven't gotten there yet need to be reminded about that fact in the population our organization is most poised to serve. That's the important function that I have taken on. Thank you.
As you can see, we have a wonderful cross-section of new blood in the Northampton Neighbors Board, and we are really enjoying getting to know them and hope you all have the opportunity to meet our new board members and find out more about them. And please feel very free to tell them what you think of Northampton Neighbors and what you'd like out of the organization. Now we're going to hear from Todd Barron, our vice president and the head of the development committee. Todd has used his expertise in business to ramp up our business donations in support of Northampton Neighbors Doozy Doo Parade. He will now give you a brief presentation of our financials, budget, and fundraising. Todd?
Hello, I'm Todd Barron. I'm a member of the Finance Committee, and I'm here to give you some information about the financials of Northampton Neighbors for fiscal year 2023. Fiscal year 2023 ran from July 1st of 2022 through June 30th of 2023. The high points of the year are that we were able to bring in more revenue by nearly 6% than we did in the previous year. And although our expenditures were slightly higher, we still had net income that was remaining after we paid all expenses. This enabled us to hire a full-time director, executive director. Diane Porcella is now our full-time salaried executive director. This is a critically important move for Northampton Neighbors, and we're all excited to have her on board officially. I'd like to point out a couple of other things about the financials. The first is that, as you know, we charge no membership fee and we do not charge for the services we provide. We have over 1,500 members and we provide scores of services every month. We rely almost exclusively on member donations to support Northampton Neighbors. Your help, members' help, comprises 64% of the money we raise. So thank you very, very much for your support. It's critical. And please continue it. Also think about being sustaining members, sustaining donors. Sustaining donors are people that commit to continuing to give on a year-to-year basis. Whatever the amount is helpful. I'd also like to mention that business donations have increased, and that also is extremely important for Northampton Neighbors. I think businesses understand that supporting Northampton Neighbors and our members is good for their business. It's good for the community and it's good for their business. Businesses, including those that gave to our first annual Doozy Doo Parade, comprised 26% of the donations this past year. So that was very, very important. So in summary, Northampton Neighbors is in strong position financially, and we are grateful for the support that we get from our members and non-members and businesses, none of whom are required to give, and many of whom have decided to give. So thank you very much.
I get to work with all of these people that you met, and I am so grateful for that, and for them, and for you, our members. And I'd like to take a moment now to take a look at a quick video about who we are and what we can do together.
Thank you for taking time tonight for Northampton Neighbors. Our year in review chronicles some of our best moments together. Find it on our website or call us for one by mail. We really are who you are. I'm Diane, the NN Executive Director, and there's more we can do together. That's me, with Elvis and the Grand Fromage after our walk and roll up Main Street with so many other marchers, despite a dismal forecast. The Doozy Doo Parade is pretty fabulous. Funds were raised and friends were made. Join us next year. Linda, on the left, joined us this summer. Her focus is on volunteers. Sue has been with us for about a year and is all about member relations. Like paperwork? Give us a call. Have you had a welcome visit yet? It's a good way for us to get to know each other. Did you know we have an inclusion committee devoted to hearing, seeing, and valuing all our neighbors? This dog knows more about computers than me, and this volunteer helped me navigate tricky tech waters. Our volunteers help with all sorts of things, but our members are not always asking. I get it. It's not easy to ask for help, but please do, and encourage your neighbors to as well. A few years back, a member mentioned that she liked writing cards, and the birthday card project was born. She and a few others send cards every month. At our summer social, we snacked on cookies, danced to the O-tones, and rode in Barry's pedicab. Monthly insights in our speaker series let you hear from the experts. These merrymakers are from FIGS, the Food Interest Group. Have an interest? Start a group. Come on down to our monthly mix and mingle. Our neighbors in Florence and Leeds have had a monthly conversation for years. Where's your neighborhood circle? We've been working with UMass and the Storytelling Project connecting across generations for a few semesters. This summer, StoryShare, a collection of portraits with links to stories, was in the former Faces window on Main. NN partners with organizations you see here and the Senior Center too. Another rewarding partnership is PVMCI. We'll hear more about that from Sharon Asher later on. Our first gathering of the year was a maypole. It was also my first maypole ever. What a glorious thing. Music, community, and ribbons. It was all sparked by Shaker McNeil. Shaker is kind. I appreciate his wit and wisdom, his tenacity and tenderness, his ability to help me see the forest for the trees, and in this case, his ability to find and cut down a very tall and very straight one. Shaker is our Member of the Year. Thank you, Shaker.
Hi, I'm Shaker, and I feel so honored for this. Though I must admit, when I first heard of this, my reaction was, oh no. And that's mostly because there are so many other people, wonderful people in our community who also deserve this. People who give rides, who help one another, who help us learn, laugh, be healthy. So thank you all. Though I must say, I did think that a trip to Hawaii went with this, didn't it? I guess not. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Hey. Okay, thank you, Shaker. And now we will hear from Sharon Asher, the program manager of the Pioneer Valley Memory Care Initiative. It's an important program for Northampton neighbors and one that we seek volunteers for. So if it piques your interest, please give us a call.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sharon Asher, and I'm a nurse and the program manager for Cooley Dickinson Geriatrics Pioneer Valley Memory Care Initiative. So the Memory Care Initiative was founded in 2019 by Dr. Rebecca Starr and a bunch of other dedicated folks at Cooley Dickinson in an effort to help people who are experiencing dementia and their caregivers who are still living out in the community. So we've been in existence since 2019, and our program has expanded. We work with many community partners. One of the primary folks that we work with is Northampton Neighbors, and Northampton Neighbors was one of our original partners. What we do is we have memory care specialists who are a variety of backgrounds. We have an OT, we have an art therapist, a mental health provider, and a nurse, and I'm also a nurse. And we are out in the community doing direct support, providing education, connection to area resources, basically whatever's needed for the family as they're caring for their loved one with dementia. One of the most important things that we can offer people in our experience has been to connect them with a volunteer. So the work that the volunteers do, they are out there providing social visits for people, keeping them connected to the community. It's really been one of the most rewarding things that we can offer folks. We've really been able to provide people with a friend, which is extraordinary if you think about it. Often these families become very isolated due to the dementia and the cognitive losses. It's hard to stay out and about in the community when that happens. Families become very isolated and lonely. So we're thrilled to be able to offer them the chance to partner with Northampton Neighbors and have a neighbor volunteer assigned to them. So we provide specialized training for folks who want to work with us. We have monthly support groups that we hold for all of our Northampton neighbor volunteers who are working with our families. We're always available to them for any issues that they may come across. And we're so very grateful for the time that they spend with our families, and our families are as well. We are always looking for new volunteers, so please keep, help us spread the word. If there's anybody out there whose life has been affected by dementia or would like to give back in any way, we'd love to have people participate in our program. Thank you very much.
It is a pretty amazing program, and I'd love to talk with you more about it. So please do give a call to our office. Right now, we're going to get ready to break out into some breakout rooms, and I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I say it all. But essentially, I think if it works right, it's all automatic. When I press the button to say go to breakout rooms, you'll all automatically go there, and you'll get a notice when there's 60 seconds left in your breakout room, and you'll automatically come back to this main room. Fingers crossed that's going to happen. One thing, when you go into the breakout rooms, Nina will give you the ability to unmute. So please do so you can speak and be part of the conversation. Our hosts, board members have 3 sets of questions, or 3 questions to ask you. And then we'll come back and we'll hear from each of the rooms and the highlights of what they spoke about during that session. So I think I covered my main notes, and I did set these rooms to 15 minutes because we're running a tiny little bit behind, and then we can just enrich our conversation when we're all together later if we find that we do have a little bit more. So I'm going to press start the breakout rooms now with my fingers crossed, and look forward to seeing you in a little bit and hearing about what you have to say about who we are and where we can go. All right, there we go. What we'll do is we'll go through our list of presenters, roughly alphabetically, from our list. So we'll start right now, I think, with Rainey and David, who are highlighted here.
We had great introductions. We got to know each other.
That's good.
And the one thing that we had just gotten to was the fact that volunteering can be more than just doing services and giving rides. It can also be being on a committee. And one of the people in our group wondered how you get on committees. And so we had a conversation about that. But people should know that there are a lot of committees that are open, and all you have to do is call the main number and leave your name and say, I'm interested in such and such a committee. And on our website, you can read about the various committees.
It's on the way. It's on the way.
Okay. But for example, today, many of you got an email saying that the events committee would be happy to welcome new people to it. There are some committees like the communications committee that are more specialized and require a distinct background and experience in writing. But a lot of the committees are open to you all. So come on down. We'd love to have you.
David, did you have anything to add?
Well, I just think that this sort of touches on things that we've talked about outside of this meeting, and that's engaging people. And one way is for people to step up and be part of a committee. So I think that was like the next step that we were going to take.
Cool. All right. Well, that gives us a little more push to get some committee words up on our website, to make it easier for folks to know what they are and how to do that, and all the kinds of volunteering that can happen with our Northampton neighbors. So would it be okay with you now if I turned to Todd Barron and Sarah Lennox? Great. Hi, Todd.
Hi, Sarah. You want me to give the summary? Would you like to?
Yes, do it, Todd.
Okay, so we had a very good session. We had a great start with introductions. We got to learn a lot about the people that had joined the meeting and who were part of our breakout group. And what I found so interesting is that many of you in our group were relatively new to Northampton Neighbors, or were members but hadn't had a need for our services. And so when we asked the question, what more could Northampton Neighbors do for you, for example, the general consensus was that at the moment you don't have specific needs. However, there are things which have come up. There was one longtime member, I won't name them, but I can see them, nice couple. I know them both, I think, who said that at one time, although they don't need help now, they actually needed help to move a wood pile to stock wood because they were having some short-term health issues. So that was really interesting. And so it led to the question in my mind was, these people hadn't really called for services, and I wondered why they had joined. And the theme that was starting to come out was connection. They joined because of connection to other people, interesting people. There's a common humanity here, which is understood, I think, and cared about. So that's where we were. We didn't get to all the questions. Sarah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say one thing that was really sort of charming and wonderful is that we had in this, you know, rather small group, we had people who were involved from the very beginning and people who just joined in the past couple
cool.
weeks. That was so thrilling. And the other thing, some people, one thing that an interest group that one of our members is interested in founding is a poetry interest group. Isn't that? Wouldn't that be terrific? And also wanted to help by doing check-in calls. So so there are people that are interested in doing things for Northampton Neighbors, and everybody seemed they couldn't think of anything they wanted to change.
Hey.
So that's really nice too.
That is nice. Thank you so much. I am going to ask if it's okay if we now ask Gerard and Rob to tell us what they learned.
Rob, you want to go ahead and start? I talked a lot in the big room. So.
Yeah. Well, we had again. We had people that had been here since the start and really just thought Northampton Neighbors was wonderful. And then several people who are relatively new. And one person was saying that they had trouble navigating the website. And Gerard gave, some advice about calling Diane and Nina. Another was feeling really pretty lonely and isolated, and would want more social activities. And we didn't really discuss exactly how to access them, but that was one issue. And then a final thing that I took a note of, which is interesting, is there was somebody with MS who would really like to have somebody attend her appointments with her neurologist and maybe, take notes. I guess there is a program that Bert mentioned I believe in Maryland or Washington or something, where there are trained note takers in the village who actually do this as a service. So, Gerard, anything?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it. I think the interesting thing was the theme I saw was there are people there who actually would like some extra help, or they'd like help in a different way, or they like social activities done a different way. And we have to somehow connect with these people so that we respond to them. I mean, I sit in the board meeting and do the financials, and I don't talk to these people. It's almost like we have to do a little more outreach to actually ask people, where do we go from here? What's your experience? Like not just once a year in a break room, but then maybe interview them and kind of get them connected more, because they all say, I want to be more connected. One person said, I have MS and I can't always be available for volunteering, but I'd like to give more.
Okay.
So how do we facilitate that?
All right. That I hear completely, and I hear it a lot. So thank you. We haven't figured it out, but I think you're absolutely right. It's the in-reach and the outreach, right? With our membership, building this with them. So now would it be, I think it's Bob Reckman and Janet Bennett and Kathy Service were in a meeting room together. Could we hear from you? Hi.
Hello. So we had a good discussion. I was the only man in the group, I have to say. And we had a good discussion about the ways in which people had found out about Northampton Neighbors and what services they had taken advantage of, which wasn't that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I would add that that there are different ways that there are a lot of different, what kind of came through is that there are a lot of different ways to plug in. There's social avenues, and some people are really interested in that. But one person said, I'm not very social, but I loved making phone calls to volunteers, and I'd love to do, or to members, and I'd love to do more of that. Outreach and finding out how we can actually engage the people, engage more of the people who we have sounds like a common theme among the groups.
No, I agree. I think, we also have to remember that our members are who are they are, and to try to meet them where they are and be with everybody with their unique needs and personalities. I mean, and not think everybody should be as we are. So I think that's really
not gonna happen.
No, it's not.
But there were a couple of great, concrete ideas. And one is asking people to bring a member in or bring a volunteer in. Asking people to actually hook a friend.
Yeah.
And another one, I see Kim put these things in the chat, but doing a little more advocacy, putting together groups that we actually advocate about issues that are important to older adults in our community, some concrete things. And also that, for over 1,600 members, that's a pretty large purchasing block. Like what could we do to help that group get some sort of benefit, financial benefit by purchase a big, large purchasing block? What else? Is there anything else? Yeah, it was a great conversation. And we had
great.
Yeah.
That's great. And apparently I don't know my alphabet very well because I skipped right over Marcia Holden and Kim Pazinski. So unless you have something to add. Oh, there's Kim now.
Hello. So I was with Marcia, and we had a good group. There were some really interesting concrete ideas that came out of it. We did talk about the challenge of getting to people that want to volunteer or want to be active but don't actually need services themselves yet, versus the people that need services. And maybe it's easier to get to people that need services because they need something versus the other group that doesn't actually need someone to come and do something. We did talk about the winter, and we had one gentleman who had a fantastic idea. He would love to purchase a plot of land and put some really large greenhouses on, because as we age, the winter is not necessarily our friend anymore. We miss the warmth. So he had a great idea of doing that. And then we could have gatherings inside the greenhouse where we could catch sun rays and be warm together. Another part about kind of what is along the theme of trying to meet people where they are was about timing. A lot of the activities, I think generally in the world, a lot of activities are in the mornings. And so trying to spread it out more and having activities in the afternoon or the early evening, so that not everything, the gardening club or the walking club, isn't always just in the morning for people that are just not morning people. And then also along the same lines, some people do not like to ever go to a bar, whether they drink or not. And so having social activities that aren't inside in the winter, of course, but that aren't in a bar type of atmosphere. So a lot of good options that people talked about. Marcia, do you think I'm missing anything?
In the beginning, we talked also about how diverse our group is, and that it's really important for us to voice that there is diversity within this group of older people, and how actually the Dizzy-Doo Parade was what might be a great opportunity to do that, really celebrate aging and show that we are a diverse group. I think that was it. That was good, Kim.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think we could wrap up our talk about this with Mark Carpel and Naomi Yanis. And I think that covers all of our groups, right? Hi, Mark.
Hi. So the first thing that was interesting was how many people, this had nothing to do with Northampton neighbors, but how many people in our group, when they talked about moving to Western Massachusetts and Northampton, said, best decision I ever made. And even the ones of us who didn't say it completely agreed. As far as the Northampton neighbors part, it's a little bit of a broken record. It really was an emphasis on outreach in two different ways, both giving people more information about what's going on. The committees came up as an example of that.
Mhm.
How do people know what the committees are? Sounds like we have something in the works on that, but that was one area that came up. And one person talked about, and I believe, if I remember correctly, all of the members of our group were relatively new to Northampton neighbors, within the last couple of years. And one of them talked about perhaps wanting, seeing if there were other people who would be interested in starting an art special interest group, a group that would focus on art. And beyond getting people information, there was a sense of, and again, we'd have to figure out how this actually works, but that a warm touch would make a difference. Again, we know how many members we have. We know how many are active or are not active. And the sense that came from the group was that if there was some kind of warm touch, again, I don't know what the mechanics are, but, the maypole is coming up and we just call a few members, call 20 or 30 members and say, by the way, this thing's going to be happening. You've got a human being on the phone talking to you. Someone said, I'm delighted with what Northampton Neighbors is doing, but, is there some way to let us know more about all of that stuff? Naomi, anything you want to add?
Well, I just wanted to say that the person who offered Diane to help her get some of that information on was one of the people in the group about the committees, etc. And that was
great.
Wonderful. But also the response to one brave person talking about how difficult it's been in this post-pandemic time to get back into socializing again.
Yeah.
And the need for that warm touch that Mark is talking about, whether it's a call saying, this is happening, would you like to go? I'm planning on going. How to arrange it, we don't know, but the need to really do something extra to get past that hump of getting back into being social again.
Wow. That's really meaningful. Thank you so much for sharing that piece. That's something that it comes up. And you're right, we don't know how to tackle it. So anybody on this call, if you have some more ideas, I'm leaning in, our ears are open. And, with all of the things that came up today, this is just the start of the conversation, right? We did take a look back on where we've been, but mostly now we're looking forward to where we can be with you. But at this moment, I think I am meant to pass this along to Rainey for the next piece of this conversation, which is going a little bit over, but I think it was really well worth it. So thank you.
So before concluding the evening, I'd like to offer you an opportunity that's hot off the press.
Yeah.
Ken Dim, our former board president, who is now deceased, began a project in his last year for the benefit of all Northampton neighbors. A memorial fund was established to support it. Several of us have finally completed the work of creating, Caring for the Future, a practical guide. And this is the binder that Ken used to talk about all the time, that is filled with pages that you can fill out. And it has pockets where you can put your important papers. That's on that side, you see on each side. And I'll put it down because I can't see you. But it's, a few of us finally completed the work. And we have what we hope is a way of organizing, helping you organize your financial and practical lives. And it gives you guidance on listing all the people who are involved with you and your estate. And it also helps you maintain places, records where you can say who changes the filters in your heating system and who shovels your snow, etc. So somebody who maybe you're hospitalized and somebody who needs to pick up the pieces can do that because they'll have this information. I have to tell you that filling out this book is not fun. I can't sell it that way, but I will tell you that I think that if you're able to do it, the people that you leave behind will be eternally grateful to you for organizing and making things easier. This doesn't have to be for just when you die. It can be when you're temporarily disabled and in the hospital, or when you get dementia. So these are things to be thinking about at any age, but we want to figure out how to help you organize yourselves if you want. These books are available to everybody who's a member of Northampton Neighbors. And tonight we're offering you a special deal. If, since it's all free anyway, but if you manage to hang in there and stay through the breakout rooms, we would be very pleased to be able to give you a copy of the book if you want a hard copy, and we can mail that to you or deliver it to you. That's a one-time offer. And the other way you can get it is having the PDF mailed to you. The advantage of a PDF obviously is that you can update it pretty easily online if you're facile with the internet. But there are some concerns about safety and confidentiality, so you have to be comfortable with that. At any rate, if you are interested in either a hard copy, then please send your mailing address to Northampton Neighbors. And if you want the PDF, send your email address to Northampton Neighbors. And that would be info@northamptonneighbors.org. Once again, I want to thank all of you for sharing your time with us. I'm always left with the feeling that we didn't get it all said. And somehow I think maybe we have to create also times when we can just get together and talk, because lots of things come from just talking. But it's been an honor to hear your thoughts and to see how we can begin to figure out how to plan to make this organization even bigger and better and more effective, and one that can help the elders of Northampton create and maintain. You know what's coming next? Connection, independence, dignity, and joy as we all age and engage in place. Thanks again for tonight. It was a pleasure seeing you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.